Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode of Nutrition Talks with Tyson the Trainer. It is me, your host, Tyson the Trainer, with two R's, obviously. Now, it is Monday. It is time to talk about a little bit about nutrition. And we are going to continue down the theme of good enough and being a part of the good enough game. Because good enough is all we need to focus on, We want to make this health and fitness shit a part of our life. We want to make sure that it doesn't consume our life. We want to make sure it's enjoyable. You just want to make sure that you're not stressing over things that have no bearing whatsoever in regards to your progress, Or again, you want to focus on the least amount with the biggest return. That's the most important thing here, okay? We don't want to be thinking about do these little things that I'm obsessing about all the time. I have to think I'm doing all these tiny things to get fucking 1 or 2%. If this is your sport and your hobby, and this is what you obsess about, and this is what you froth over, and you want to get every little thing, then go for it. But I, for one, do not. And most of you listening, I assume, do not either, right? So, with that being said, today we're going to be talking about the hierarchy and the good enough for dieting. What actually matters and what doesn't matter. Because there are a lot of things that people think matter that do not fucking matter at all, okay? A lot of things that people think matter and just have no bearing on your progress overall, okay? Sorry, shouldn't say no bearing. Has the most minimal amount of, I'm not going to say investment because that's return. Has the least amount of return, and it's not really worth worrying about until you're nailing everything else. And again, only worry about this if it's something that you, think it's worth worrying about, I guess, at the end of the day, So we'll cover these topics, but again, these things I'm talking about, when I tell you these things, when I start to cover down the stuff that's not as important, it doesn't mean you have to do it, okay? It doesn't mean these things that I say are least important are gonna make or break your physique. They're not, right? If you can get 95, let's say, 90% of the ultimate results you can get, okay? Let's say you have this physique idea in your head that you want to look a certain way, because at the end of the day, I know a lot of you obviously say you want to improve your health and stuff like that, but let's be real. Most of us also want to fucking look good doing that too, okay? So when you think about your physique that you're after, take away 5% of that, okay? Because also, you got to think, the ultimate physique you're after, you're never going to achieve that because you also have a fucking normal life, We put this thing on a pedestal, we think about, I'd love to be able to look like this. You might see someone on Instagram. For me, I'm I'd love to look like Chris Bumstead, C-Bum, amazing, would like to look like that cunt. Guess what? I'm not going to ever take the amount of drugs he takes, firstly. Secondly, I'm never going to have the physique he has because we have different genetics, right? Thirdly, I just don't give a shit enough to be able to put that in, that effort in. However, would love to be able to look like him. Same as you guys. You're like, I'd love to be able to lose X amount of weight, or I'd love to be able to look this, or I'd love to be able to have a, shredded six-pack. Yet you have a lifestyle that's not going to be in line with that. So realistically think about what you would like to look like with a balanced lifestyle, okay? So think about your ideal physique, probably change it a little bit, take it back to a realism. And that is, you're going to get a very, very, very close to that, ideally, if it's realistic, like I said, your body has to obviously, your genetics have to be able to help you achieve that. You can do that without the other things that I'm going to be talking about here today. Cool? So, I made a list today. I never really make a list. I always jump from one thing to another. But I was like, you know what? We need some organization here. I need a little bit of regiment to keep me in line so I'm not fucking going off track. So let's get into it. So, dieting, okay? When you are looking to lose body fat, or when you're looking to just overall be healthier, there are things, we have a hierarchy of what's important and what's not important, okay? From most important to least important, basically. When I say from most important to least important, it's like when you have a day where you're going to hear some of these things and you're like, do I choose this or do I choose this? When I say most important to least important, the top thing that I say is the most important. So if you're like, should I do what, the first thing you said or the second thing you said, do the first thing, okay? If you do the first thing, everything else under there, they are least important. Do you know when we say priority, Put your priorities from order 1 to 5. Your priority 1 is priority 1. That is the main thing. is what I want to get across to you guys today, all right? So when dieting, maintaining weight, wanting to gain weight, the main overarching principle here is calories, okay? Calories are king. Whether you want to diet, you have to be in a calorie deficit, all right? This doesn't require you to track food to be in a calorie deficit. I'm just telling you, calorie deficit means eating less than you burn, whether you're tracking or not. You have to eat less than you burn if you want to lose body weight, okay? And lose body fat. Simple as that. You want to gain body fat? No one wants to gain body fat. You want to gain muscle or body weight? You have to eat more than you burn. You want to maintain? You roughly have to eat roughly, I say roughly because your maintenance calories is not 2,127 calories every fucking day, all right? Trust me, it's not 2,127 calories. It's not never gonna be an exact number every day. It's a range, but you roughly have to eat the same amount of calories that you're burning throughout the day. That is the most the biggest overarching principle is energy intake from calories, okay? When you know this is your main principle, the first thing you have to think about, the first most important thing being a calorie, whatever the goal is, deficit, surplus, or maintenance, you have to have that as your baseline, okay? Anytime you get stuck with anything, the first question should be, if you're tracking, is my energy balance where it needs to be, okay? Calories matter most, not protein, not your macros, none of that shit. Calorie balance, okay? Because you can lose weight. The second thing we're going to focus on in a second, which is protein. You can lose weight without eating optimal protein, okay? Now you notice I say weight, not just pure body fat, right? But you can definitely lose weight and mostly body fat and still not get enough protein if you're in a calorie deficit, okay? Because a calorie deficit is king. If you are in a calorie deficit and you don't hit your protein goal, and you're like, oh fuck, I'm not going to lose any weight or any fat, you are, because you're in a calorie deficit. Now, protein is obviously important for a number of different reasons. This is the priority number 2, which is protein. We ideally want to be getting enough protein in during the day in order to sustain muscle, okay? In order to try and build muscle. And there's a lot of functions that our body uses. Actually, like basically everything in the body, will use protein in some way. So we want to have enough protein in our body, okay? So they're going to be like our 2 main priorities we need to focus on for any goal, all right? If your goal is to maintain your weight, if your goal is to lose weight, if your goal is to gain muscle. You want to focus on those 2 things. But guess what? When I say focus on those 2 things, the first thing still comes to a calorie, whatever the goal is. Calorie deficit, calorie surplus, maintenance. So when in doubt, if you're like, should I hit my protein or should I be in a calorie deficit? If your goal is losing fat, be in a calorie deficit. First and foremost, okay? If you're like, oh, should I eat more today because I haven't hit my protein goal? Should I get myself out of a deficit? No. Calories come first. Always, 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 all right? That's the most important thing you have to think about, calories. Now again, what I said before, you don't have to track calories in order for calories to matter. But whether you track or whether you're not tracking, calories are gonna be counted in the body, okay? You're not physically counting them, but the body's gonna keep track of them, okay? The body needs a certain amount of calories in the day in order to live, to supply the energy that you've used. And again, if there's not enough, it will use body fat stores as reserves. If there's too much, it could potentially gain muscle as long as there's a stimulus there. Or roughly, again, if it's expended the amount that's came in, it's going to remain body fat, body weight neutral, ideally, which is the good thing. So they're your 2 priorities, calories and protein, okay? Now, in order to think about with this hierarchy of, let's say, fat loss, for example, when we're trying to focus on those things, do we need to focus on tracking our food? We've got our calories and our protein, we know their priorities. Do you need to track? No, you do not need to. You've seen people lose weight without tracking. You've seen people follow intermittent fasting. You've seen people follow keto. You've seen people follow the fucking 5-2 diet. You've seen people follow that dumb, stupid fucking fast 800. You've seen people follow T-Tox. You've seen people do every fucking diet under the sun, and people still ask, do I need to track my calories to lose weight? Well, if you've seen someone lose weight without tracking calories, which there is a huge example of these people doing this, then no, you do not need to count calories and track calories and stuff like that. So that is not a priority, okay? However, tracking does make things easier. If you would like to track, you can track. If you don't want to track, it makes it a little bit more challenging, not impossible. I just personally think it makes it a little bit more challenging, especially if you are not educated in nutrition, right? If you don't have a general idea and understanding. Like for me, I can diet without tracking, no worries at all. I can mentally look at food and know roughly how many calories are in there, like as a guesstimate. Again, not exact, I can guesstimate quite well. I know if I have enough protein during the day. I know that if I've eaten a certain amount during the day and I've that's my little targets, I know I'm gonna be in a deficit. I know how if I need to increase that, I can be in a surplus, or I know how to basically make sure I'm roughly in weight maintenance. Again, it's all guesstimation, but I have that education behind me because I've been doing this for so many goddamn years. If you are someone who has no idea about nutrition, it may help you. Okay, because guess what? If you think peanuts are a good source of protein, or you think mushrooms are a good source of protein, or you think spinach has, is a good source of protein, or has a lot of iron in it that can be absorbed, or if you think that if you eat, what's a fat-burning food people talk about? If you think there's superfoods, if you think there's fat-burning foods, if you think carbohydrates are bad for you, if you think carbohydrates are pizza, or ice cream, or hot chips, or burgers, if you think any of those things are carbohydrates, then you should probably be tracking, because you need to understand what's in food. Okay? If you're like, oh, but pizza is carbohydrate, you need to go track your food. If you're like, oh, burgers are, go track your food. Oh, French fries are, go track your food. Okay? Because you're going to find out very, very quickly that these are not primary carbohydrate foods. They're actually higher in fat than anything, but they're also a mixed macronutrient. Okay? So I just say, I like to help people to track just because it gives them an understanding of food and what's in food. And when you start to weigh and measure things like that, it helps you see what a portion size looks like. Like, what does 100 grams of chicken look like? Well, that will help you understand. What does what does an actual serving size of peanut butter look like? A lot of you are going to fucking fall to the ground and cry when you measure out what a serving size of peanut butter is. But it's good because it informs you, it educates you, it empowers you to understand food better, right? Now, if you're someone who has neurotic tendencies or an obsessive tendencies, or you're someone who gets really, really stuck in these exact numbers and specifics and stuff like that, then maybe tracking isn't for you, and there's other options, all right? So I want to go down the other options side of things first for non-tracking, then we're going to come back to tracking and go through that. Now, usually you guys know I talk a fair bit about tracking, because I am a fan, and again, it educates you, but I think for the people who aren't, here are just some ways you can start to implement this principle of calorie deficit and eat enough protein without having to track. Again, it's a little bit more challenging, but it's not impossible, and I still do have clients who don't track and are still successful with this. Cool? So this comes back down to the order of importance again, like all these important things. When it comes to non-tracking, the first thing you need to think about is adding, okay? Adding foods into your diet, adding more fruit, adding more protein, adding more vegetables into your diet. They should be like your three main things you want to think about adding in. Okay, the reason I say think about adding, because when we start thinking about what I've got to take away, what I've got to eliminate, what have I got to reduce, it creates scarcity, it creates restriction. It makes us feel like, oh fuck, I've got to change over my whole lifestyle, I've got to cut out the things I enjoy. And it's like, all right, if we come from a place where we're trying to add more foods in, guess what's usually going to happen? Naturally, you're going to take foods out because you're going to be too full. And also you might have to change your meals around a little bit for them to be less calorie dense because you're adding more good quality food in. So when we think about adding, we're going to go back to the fruits, the vegetables, the protein, okay? At every meal you have, you want to add in a protein source. If you don't know what a protein source is, look up what should you look up, just so I know you're getting educated correctly? Look up best high quality sources of protein. That's what I want you to look up. Per 100 grams, best high quality sources of protein per 100 grams. I'll tell you them right now. It's any lean animal product. So it's chicken, it's fish, it's beef, it's lean pork, it's, what else am I forgetting here? Chicken, beef, pork, any animal product basically, in case I forget anything. It's tofu and tempeh as your what are the words called? Your non-animal sources, which would be good source of protein. There is corn, which is like with a Q-O-R-N. There is, I'm forgetting one here. Seitan, S-E-I-T-A-N, and I've got to think, there's probably 2 or 3 other ones that I've actually forgot. Again, look up best high quality vegetarian protein sources. Again, it'll probably come up and it'll tell you peanut butter is the best, mushrooms are the best. Look up per 100 grams so you can actually see how much protein per 100 grams there is. You're gonna look and you're like, oh my God, broccoli has so much protein in it. Yeah, you have to eat half a kilo of broccoli to get to like 20 grams of protein. Good luck eating 500 grams of broccoli and not farting for the rest of your life, and also not having stomach issues, okay? This is why we look up per 100 gram best quality protein, okay? So then we look at adding that in at each meal. So breakfast, eggs are a good source of protein too. So breakfast, you might have 2 eggs, all right? So let's say you're having dare iced coffee in the morning as your breakfast. Yeah, one of those big large ones, which is I used to have when I was a tradie kid, and I was like, oh yeah, I just need to have something quick. I used to have one of those like 750 mils. It wasn't dare, it was icebreaker, you know? So let's say you're having that. You're like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna have some eggs on toast. Well, most likely you're not gonna drink that 750 mils of icebreaker or dare or whatever you're gonna have. So maybe you get a smaller one, or maybe you're like, I'll have something else. Maybe you think about having a protein powder for breakfast instead. Maybe you think about having a chicken sandwich. Nothing wrong with having chicken for breakfast. Maybe you look at those YoPro Chobani or YoPro or Chobani high protein Greek yogurts. Maybe you have some of them. So you're like, all right, I'm going to add some protein to my breakfast. At lunch and dinner, the same type of thing. You think about what can I add in here? Where are my protein sources? Tyson said the best ones are like, an animal source. So maybe I'll have chicken for lunch. Maybe I'll have beef for dinner, or maybe I'll have some tuna for lunch, or beef for dinner, wherever it's going to be. Add in a quality protein source for every meal, okay? Base your meal around a quality lean protein source. Now, how much? Well, we can use our palm size serving for recommendation. So if you hold out your hand and you bend your fingers to the outside of your palm, I don't know what to say, how to picture this. Basically, you're gonna look at your palm. That's what a size serving of protein is gonna look like. For a female, have 1 of them. For a male, have 2 of them, okay? At each meal. Simple. Done. That most likely is going to carry you into your actual protein, close to your protein goal, which I'll talk about in the tracking side of things later on. But doing that for males and females is going to help you ensure you're most likely going to be getting your protein goal in for the day, okay? Just by having it at every meal, a protein source. Every main meal, ideally, okay? Breakfast, lunch, dinner. You should be having breakfast, lunch, dinner, right? Next, you want to add in vegetables. So ideally, I would say add in vegetables anywhere that you think is going to be the best choice for you to add them in. What's the easiest way you can add them in? I would usually say breakfast and lunch are going to be easier. Lunch and dinner are going to be easier than breakfast. So again, let's go back to the eggs on toast for breakfast. You could add some spinach in there. You could add a tomato. You could add in mushrooms. Simple. If you're going to make a smoothie, you could add in some spinach with your smoothie. What else would be a vegetable you could have for breakfast? They're probably gonna make your main breakfast ones, ideally. So you're gonna make an omelet? You could use mushrooms, capsicum, peas, corn, spinach. I made a fat omelet the other day. Fuck, it was so good. I made an omelet toasty. I was like, oh, this is actually delicious. But I had the same thing. I had spinach, I had mushroom, I had diced capsicum, and I had one other thing. Just a little bit of peas and corn. Fantastic, simple, easy, delicious. Simple veggies to get in. Add them into lunch. Again, you have a protein source. Now we're going to try and think about a veggie source. I want some peas and corn. Easy. So you have, let's say, stir fry, just peas and corn, obviously, nothing crazy. And then you're going to have a piece of chicken. So you make stir fry chicken with peas and corn. Or you could have, get the Thai stir fry, or the, I think it's Chinese stir fry too. Put that on a pan, make it a stir fry with the diced chicken. You could have, for dinner, you could have a piece of steak, and then maybe you like broccolini, maybe you like cauliflower, maybe you like carrots, maybe, I don't care what it is, just add some veggies in there, all right? A veggie should be a fist-sized serving. So ideally, if you can get 1 to 2 fist-sized servings at breakfast, at lunch and dinner, you're gonna be on your way to a good size, a good veggie intake. So with saying this, it's not about changing everything at once. This is what we're trying to get towards, all right? So again, we're going down the thing. We're adding in first. We're looking at protein sources. Start getting your protein in. Start consistently doing that. Good enough, okay? I'm telling you, females for 1 palm size serving, males for 2 palm size serving. If you're not even getting, if you're not getting that now, it's okay. Slowly increase it. Pick 1 meal to start with. I know this shit is seeming small, but you have to get some wins under your belt. The amount of times people fucking fail. Oh, I tried this thing and it didn't work, or I tried this. Okay, what did you try and do? And they tell me A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down to Z. I'm like, you try to change fucking 30 things at once. No shit, you couldn't stick to it. Right? It's like going into a brand new job. Like imagine, perfect example, okay? Imagine everyone's going to be a plumber. You're going to be a plumber, right? You've never done plumbing in your life. And you're like, okay, I want to start being a plumber. So you go through an apprenticeship usually, okay? Instead of going through an apprenticeship where you learn, and then day one, the tradie's gonna, ask you for a left-handed screwdriver, and you're gonna be fucking looking around and be like, where's this left-handed screwdriver? Stuff like that. Just to, and then again, and then he's like, today he's gonna let you drive the truck. Maybe he's gonna let you drive the tradie, and then maybe on day 3 he might let you hold the left-handed screwdriver. As over time you get to be able to. He might let you change a washer on the sink today, or whatever it's gonna be. It takes time, okay, for you to be able to be comprehensive and feel confident to then become a plumber 4 years later after an apprenticeship. Well, imagine like, hey, I want to be a plumber. I'm like, okay, sweet. You want to be a plumber? All right. So first day on the job, you see this. This is a commercial building. It's 128 flats in here. We need you to do the plumbing on all the bathroom today. And you're like, what? Yeah, we need you to do it. Okay. You want to be a plumber? This is what you got to do. Day 1, change, go do it all. And you're like, what the fuck? I don't know what to do. And then you start just trying to do something because you're like, oh fuck, I'm going to try this. And they're like, you don't know what I thought you said you wanted to be a plumber. You can't even do this. And you're like, man, fuck this. I can't do this job. Like, I'll go do something else. It's the same thing. You don't know how to implement these things. You're trying to just, I don't know, you've probably watched a few YouTube videos. You've watched some motivational fitfluencer being like, you just got to fucking grind. You just got to want this. And you're like, yeah, I'm just going to change everything at once. You don't know how to cook. You don't know how to meal prep. You don't know what meals are actually going to keep you full. You just start throwing things together and you're like, well, this is fucking hard. You don't know what a routine is. Of course it's going to be hard. So start small, okay? One source of protein. You're going to start with 1 meal. Once you start nailing that, get to 2 meals. Once you start nailing that, get to your 3 meals, okay? Your 3 main meals should have some protein. Once you start nailing your protein, then you add in some veggies. Sweet, we're getting some veggies in. Again, you can do, like if you're like, yeah, well, tomorrow I'm gonna do lunch, protein and veggies, sweet. If you can do that and it's sustainable, excellent. But if you can't stick to it, scale it back a little bit, all right? We're all about small wins here. Because at the end of the day, imagine you listen to this now. It's like the end of, it's like the start of February, okay? Let's say for the next 4 weeks, all you're trying to do is just get consistent with your protein. In a month's time, March, it's only March, you're now having consistent protein every day. Because you've been having more protein, you're fuller for longer. You're feeling a little bit better about yourself. You've got some confidence. You're feeling good. Your meals are better. You're like, oh, fuck, this is actually all right. Okay, March. Now the next month, you're just focused on getting some veggies in, okay? Now I'm gonna get some veggies in. By the end of March, so it's now April, you're now having 3 main meals a day with lean source of protein, veggies at every meal, and you're like, whoa, I'm feeling better. I've somehow lost weight because I'm not as hungry and I'm starting to eat properly and fuel myself. My mood is better. I'm finally not feeling like shit. I'm going to the bathroom regularly because I actually have some fiber in my body. Whoa, I already feel like a new person. 2 months of doing that, all right? Is it exciting that maybe you've only lost, 1 to 3 kilos, maybe? Well, guess what? It might not be exciting about that, but you've already changed a huge amount in 2 months. You've gone from drinking shitty dare iced coffees in the morning, you've gone from skipping fucking smoko or not even having lunch, coming home and binging, to having 3 main meals a day that's actually keeping you full, satiated. They're enjoyable meals and you're feeling good about yourself. Play the long-term game, okay? There is nothing wrong with starting small, because even though in the next week or 2 or 3 you might think, oh, that's not going to make a huge difference, we're not here to play the short-term game, okay? We're here to play the long-term game. It's not a fucking 12-week challenge, okay? It's a 12-year. Like, if you think about this as like each month, each month is 1 new habit. That's 12 new habits over a year. Imagine having 12 fucking consistent habits over a year that you've added in that are healthy. That will game changer, I'm telling you right now, okay? Like, fuck, I'm flat out trying to get, 5 or 6 good, consistent habits in a year. Like, all last year, my habits was trying to get better sleep. That was one of my main habits, and I ended up fixing that, like getting better sleep. It's not perfect, it's still getting there. That's a year of trying just to do that. A year, man. So don't shortchange yourself, okay? Long-term thinking, okay? So again, we do protein, we do our veggies. What veggies should you eat? Any veggies that you can stomach. I don't give a shit if it's just, I used to be really bad at this. Oh, you need to diversify your veggies. Oh, no, potatoes don't count. Oh, no, I don't want you guys doing this. I want you to make sure you're doing this. And look, whatever veggies you guys can have, because I'd rather you fucking eat veggies than not eat veggies. If you want to count potatoes as a veggie, that's fine. They are actually a veggie, they're just more a little bit calorie dense. But again, I'd rather you have that than go and get some shitty takeaway food, okay? So if you want to have potatoes for lunch and dinner at the moment, and that's going to be your start, fantastic. Fantastic, okay? If you just want, carrots and potato and maybe corn, cool, whatever it is. I don't care, just have vegetables. Eventually, when you feel like you want to venture out a little bit, try one new vegetable, all right? Sneak it in there. Do it like you do with your kids. Mum used to fucking put peas and corn on my mashed potato and pumpkin. She made me eat pumpkin because she put it in with my mashed potato and it actually tasted lit. I used to hate pumpkin. Ooh, it's orange. What the, like, I was like, oh, I don't want this. She puts it in with mashed potato. She didn't tell me for like 2 years that she was doing this. And I'm like, you sneaky, you got me. You got me. And now I love pumpkin. So little ways to get it in, in a stir fry. Again, you put some soy sauce in a stir fry, use a stir fry mix. Angie hates the little corns in there, okay? She'll eat anything else except the little corns in there. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. But she's eating her veggies, all right? So what do? We just do it, and then she gets it, she just chucks the corn in mine. I'm like, sweet, more fucking little corns for me. Or you just get one that's not the corn. Get the broccoli, the cauliflower, and the carrot. Get the one with the water chestnuts or whatever they are. There's heaps of options out there for you. Just pick some veggies you like, okay? So then you add it in veggies. And the next thing we're going to try and add in a little bit is just fruit, all right? Try to have like 2 fruits a day. Start with 1 fruit a day, and then try and get to 2 fruits a day. Where do we get fruit? I don't care, wherever you want to get it from, all right? Do you want to get frozen fruit? Get frozen fruit. Do you want to get fresh fruit? Get fresh fruit. A banana's better than, it doesn't matter what's better, just eat a fucking fruit, We get to this point where even I was getting caught up in it, where I'm so like, I'm being stupid with what I'm talking about. Like, oh, well, if you want to get more potassium and you want to, if you got those little quick carbohydrates, then we're going to go for banana. But if you're going to, like, I'm talking about this over here, up here, when people are just like, bro, I just want to get fruit in. I don't give a fuck about potassium or any of that shit. Which is true, which is 100% correct. You guys don't need to fucking worry about that shit at the moment. You just need to be eating fruit, right? So pick a fruit that you enjoy. Do you like berries? Do you like bananas? Do you like pumpkin? No, it's pumpkin. What did I say pumpkin for? Oh my goodness gracious. Blueberries, strawberries, kiwi fruits, apple, pear, mandarin, lychees. They're all I can think of at the moment. I don't care. Get a fruit in. Is fruit bad for you? No. Is it too high in sugar? No. It's fruit. It is fruit. Out of anything I could fucking tell people that, like, fruit, man. Are you like, fuck me dead? We're telling people fruit is poison. It's high in sugar. It's going to do this. Like, okay, let's just not worry about eating Maccas. You guys can keep eating Maccas all you want. But if you're going to have too much fruit, the sugar's going to fucking kill you. Yeah, it's the fruit, 100%. The reason most of my clients come to me and they're like, hey, Tyson, I want to lose some weight. I'm really struggling. I'm eating too much fruit, man. I just can't stop. Those strawberries, oh my God, like I eat like 3 kilos of strawberries a day. I eat like 100 bananas a day. When I want to get takeaway on the weekend, I just call up this fruit salad place and I'm like, can you just give me all the fruit salad? I just can't stop. What's wrong with me? No one is ever fucking saying that. So fruit is fine. 1 serving a day. Anytime you can add it in, okay? And again, this comes to the hierarchy priority. So we go protein first, then veggies, then fruit, okay? Oh, Tice, I'm trying to decide, what should I have more of? Should I have fruit or veggies? Aim for veggies. Now, in saying this, if you aren't a massive vegetable fan and you would rather try fruit first, get fruit in first, okay? Like, it's got to be whatever's easier for you. I don't want you getting caught up in this bullshit of like, what should I add in? What should I add in? Should I do this? Should I do this? Okay? Like fruit or veggies, fuck me dead. Just pick a colorful object that is a plant that you can put into your mouth and that's going to feel good. All right? That's what she said. But seriously, like just pick something. All right? And that's it. Protein, plants. That's what I want you to aim for. They're going to be your add-ins to first start off with the hierarchy of when you're just trying to make some good adjustments to your overall diet, especially if you're trying to lose weight. And you're like, oh, what about the things I've got to cut out? What about all this? Well, that'll probably naturally happen. Again, when you start to think of protein and veggies at every meal, in a way, it's going to start to just substitute some shit out along the way, right? Like again, are you going to be able to have everything you're having now on top of fruit, vegetables, and protein? Not likely, all right? They're going to be your baselines, okay? I don't want to go much more into that for the moment. Like, that's all I want you to start on. You know, can I have takeaways, Tyson? Yes, if you want to have takeaways, like, again, it's all about, that's where we can start to reduce things a little bit, but I want you to first add in stuff. Add that stuff in. I'm going to continue on this talk in another one about, like, how we can continue with that. I'm going to make, like, a whole topic in regards to the non-tracking side of things, so we can keep going down this route. I'm actually going to make a mention note about that, because this is good, but we're also going to go back to the tracking side of things first, okay? So again, add versus subtract, and then if in doubt, you want to keep continuing to learn a little bit more, like what should you be doing, look up the Australian Healthy Eating Guidelines. Like, follow them. They're fucking fantastic. Not big pharma, not big money, not big fruit, vegetables gonna come after you. They're gonna teach you to be healthy. All right? Easy peasy. Done. Cool? Let's go back to tracking. Tracking is gonna play the exact same role as what we just talked about, all that shit, okay? You're gonna be tracking your food, so calories come first, right? Then for you, you're going to, firstly, when you come to tracking calories, do not give yourself an exact calorie amount. I have been changing my mindset on this recently. Give yourself a range. Give yourself a 250 calorie buffer, all right? So whatever your maintenance is, take away 500 calories from that, all right? So let's say your maintenance is 2,500, you're taking away down to 2,000. If you're at 2,000, you're like, oh my God, down to 1,500. Yes, hear me out. You've got a 500 calorie wiggle room now to be able to play with, all right? So let's say you're supposed to eat, you've gone from 2,500 down to 2,000. You're like, oh fuck, okay, 2,000. If you ate 2,100 calories tomorrow, and people are like, oh, Tyson, like, well, clients say to me, Tyson, I did real good yesterday, but I ate 100 calories over. And they feel bad, and this is my fault for not explaining this properly. They feel bad, but I'm like, hey, you're still in a deficit, all right? You've still just lost 400 calories less. I'm sorry, you've still eaten 400 calories less. It's not 500 calories less, it's still 400 calories less. You're still in a deficit. You're still gonna lose weight at the end of the week. Fucking fantastic. But people get in this mindset, oh, I've ruined my calories for the day, I ate 100 over, I might as well eat 500 over. So instead, you give yourself a range, all right? So you got all this wiggle room here. Basically, try and go from like 250 to 500 in a day, like a difference of that. If you eat like, I don't want to say this is bad. I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain this to you guys. When you're trying to create a deficit, if you create like 100 or a 200 calorie deficit, it's not a significant amount to actually be a noticeable deficit, because your body can adjust to adapt to those lower calories quite quickly, which is why most people, when they're eating lower maintenance calories and I give them the actual maintenance calories, it's like 200 to 400 calories extra, because their body's adapted down. So if you're like, all right, I'm eating 2,500, I'm gonna go to 2,300, don't expect, if you're consistently eating 2,300 every day, that you would drop weight on that week. Even though technically you're in a deficit, it's not large enough to make a noticeable impact. And also in saying that, we just can't be 100% accurate with what we're eating, okay? So you may think, oh yeah, I'm in a 250 calorie deficit, but the label might have been wrong. The food might have been a certain ripeness. Yeah, you know, something might have been a few grams heavier, shit like that. You might have guesstimated something, and we just have variance, right? We can never be 100% perfect. So ideally, you create a 500 calorie deficit, then you give yourself that 250 calorie leeway, okay? So then each day you're in basically a deficit between 250 to 500 calories a day. Some days you're gonna be hungrier, some days you're not gonna be hungrier. Some days you might want to eat a little bit more and you go over slightly, some days you're not. But at the end of the week, if you have always been consistently in that deficit, you are going to see numbers go down. Will it be consistent every week? No, because some days you might be hungrier again, some days you might not. But will it be as fast as you want it to be? Most likely not. But guess what? You're not looking at black and white failure. You're now looking at, oh, this is actually consistent. I'm not failing. I'm able to have this little bit of wiggle room. You know what? Today I'm not as hungry. I'm going to have those extra 200 calories extra. So I'm not going to eat those 200 calories extra. So I'm going to meet a 500 calorie deficit. If you're truly not hungry and you're eating 500 calories less every day, fantastic. We're going to see some more weight loss. But do not try and restrict yourself and ignore your hunger too. If you are fucking starving every night, eventually you're gonna binge and rebound, okay? So use this as a tool, but do not abuse the tool, okay? That's what I want you to think about. You can use this, but do not abuse it. Give yourself a range, there's no black or white. So we have the calories first. Then we have protein, same thing. You start looking at protein sources every meal. You start looking at 1 to 2 palm-sized servings. You can measure that out. You're roughly going to see what that equates to. You're going to get protein at every single meal. Now, ideally, you want to get a minimum of 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight for protein. That's going to be your good enough goal. 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. When you look at that, and then you start to look at the palm-sized servings, and then eventually at the end of the day when you track that, you're actually going to be quite surprised. That's roughly going to equal 1.6 grams to 2 grams per kilogram body weight. Fucking fantastic. Can you eat more than 1.6? Yes, I'm just giving you that minimum threshold you want to start to aim for. All right? So again, we got our calories, we got the range, we get our protein. We're going for that minimum 1.6. If you're not hitting 1.6, work your way up. Do the exact same thing. Start with one meal, get the protein nailed. Go to the next meal, get the protein nailed. Go to the next meal, get the protein nailed. Cool? Next thing we're gonna do, add in those veggies or fruit, just like I talked about before with the non-tracking method. So you're gonna do that exact same thing. Fruits, vegetables, protein, and calories. They're the fucking things you're gonna make sure you are doing every single day, okay? With your tracking, you're going to be like, okay, well, Tyson, you've told us about this, all right? But I'm tracking food. What about my fats? What about my carbs? What numbers do I need to be hitting? Do I need to be about this grams of carbs, or do I need 221 grams of carbs, or do I need 217 grams of carbs? Do I need 63 grams of fat, or do I need 67 grams of fat? What if I only ate 62 grams of fat yesterday? What's going to happen? Am I going to fucking blow up? Am I going to melt into nothingness? Am I going to lose all of my progress? Relax. You don't need to do any of that shit, okay? If you follow the protein, the plants, which is your fruit, your veggies, you're gonna have some leftover calories, obviously. Where are those calories gonna come from? A little bit of fats and a little bit of carbs. Don't demonize, don't cut out anything. Don't think you have to have one over the other. Don't think you have to have any specific numbers. Just eat a mixed macronutrient diet, all right? Carbohydrates, you get it from your potatoes, your rice, your pasta, your whole grains, your cereal, I love cereal, your dairy, they're gonna be your main source of carbohydrates most likely. Your fats, you got your dairy, you got your eggs, you got your fatty fish, I'm having one blank here. Eggs, dairy, fatty fish, you got your nuts, your spreads, they're all gonna be your main sources of fats, all right? Just have a little bit of each, okay? If you have more fats today and less fats tomorrow, who gives a fuck? I don't care. Will this change your physique in any way? No. Negative, okay? We don't wanna demonize carbs and not have any. We don't want to demonize fats and not have any. We just want to have a mixed amount of both. And it's so weird when you hear this because you're like, nah, surely there has to be something. Guys, there is no fucking evidence to show that you have to eat within 5 grams of macronutrient to get results. Zero. If you see people lose weight on keto and they're having no carbohydrates, then why the fuck would it matter if you have to eat within 5 grams of a carbohydrate goal? If you see people doing low fat and high carbs, or people doing intermittent fasting where they're not tracking at all, why the fuck do we think we need to eat within a specific gram of macronutrients? We do not. There is no data showing that at all. Zero. So whenever some coach tells you that, just be like, all right, can you show me the evidence? Like, hey, do you want to show me the evidence where I need to eat a specific amount of macronutrients every day, or within 5 grams, or within 10 grams, whatever the fuck they've told you? Guess what they're going to come back with? Well, look, just from, when, they got nothing to fucking say. They got no leg to stand on, okay? We know, when you look in a sports textbook, it actually just gives carbohydrate recommendations based on the activity level, and it gets to ridiculous amounts, like 8 to 12 grams per kilogram for people who are active, like a cyclist and shit. Obviously, yeah. But normal people are not going to be eating 8 to 12 grams of carbohydrate per kilogram body weight. If you're a 100 kilo male and you're just heavy and you're not an athlete and you're going to follow that guideline, what are you going to eat? 1,000 grams of carbs a day? You're going to give yourself fucking diabetes. Okay? So we know sports context, it matters for sports athletes to a degree, but even they're giving ranges 8 to 12 grams. Okay? 8 grams compared to 12 grams per kilogram body weight would be a difference of 800 grams of carbohydrates to 1,200 grams of carbohydrates, okay? A 400 gram of carbohydrates difference as a recommendation, which also equals 1,600 calorie difference, okay? They're giving ranges too. They're not getting you need 11 to 12 grams per kilogram No. They're giving you 8 to 10, 12 grams if you're a high level athlete. If it's less, it's like 6 to 8. It's 4 to 8. They give ranges, just like you guys. You don't need specifics. And when those ranges are big. There's a fly in this room. It's fucking annoying me. So don't stress about macronutrients. Okay, you don't need to worry about that at all. Just have a little bit of both. It'll make your diet more enjoyable, right? What else do we not need to track? We don't need to track high days and low days. You don't need to do more carbohydrates on one day, low carbohydrates on another day. More calories on one day, less calories on another day. You don't need to do pre-workout and post-workout optimization. You don't need that shit, okay? If you are tracking and you're tracking your calories and you're tracking your fruits and your veggies and your protein and you're having a little bit of variation throughout your day, you're trying a new veggie here and there, you're sticking to your calories as a whole, overall, you've slowly added protein and fruits and veggies in, you're just, figuring shit out along the way, you're gonna get results. And really good results. I'm not joking. Like, you're gonna get really fucking good results, okay? Just doing that. You're gonna get 90% of the way there, actually, which is fantastic, right? If you are, what was I gonna say about that? Results? 90% of the way there. Sorry, lost my train of thought for a second. If you want to get that extra 10% results, then you look at pre and post workout. Then you work at supplements. Then you work at I still wouldn't say high days and low days. You'd probably work at pre and post workout nutrition. You'd work at supplements. You'd work at maybe meal timing and spreading things out a little bit more. That's your last 10%, okay? Like, the last 10% will only be that extra 10% if you're nailing the 90%. Like, if you start adding supplements in, people ask about creatine. Hey, Tyson, what do you reckon about creatine? Thinking about getting on the creatine. Hey, what if I can't take creatine? Because, guys, anyone who's taken fucking creatine, you are not noticing a night and day difference. No one's walking up to me and being like, creatine, that's what's different about you. I can see you've been on creatine. Oh, I can tell you're on the pre-workout powder. That's what's going on. People aren't saying that shit, okay? Because it's very subtle. It doesn't make a huge difference. It takes people who are great, it takes people who are doing the most to get like a great to amazing. 90% to 98% when you can add in all of those, like supplements, maybe like 2%, if that, 1 or 2%. Pre and post workout nutrition would probably be about 3 or 4%, so that actually give you bigger bang for your buck. Versus 90% of your results coming from following what I've just told you. Like, people actually, fuck fruit and veggies, fuck worrying about calories, fuck worrying about protein, just go take creatine. That's gonna be the game changer. Yeah, man, I was training for like 2 years. I was following all this shit. I was tracking my food. Nothing happened. I started taking creatine. Oh my God, I can't believe I never took creatine before. No one has ever fucking said that. Actually, it's a lie. People have probably said that because they're taking steroids and they're trying to sell creatine as a supplement, right? But it ain't happening, okay? Now, protein powder as a supplement, different aside, I would count protein powder in towards a protein intake so you can actually have protein powder, okay? But again, when you think about creatine, when you think about pre and post, when you think about creatine, when you think about, pre-workout drinks, when you think about, beta-alanine, when you think about the things that are actually proven, which isn't a lot of things, they're gonna be the least change, the least possible change, and hardly noticeable if you aren't doing the other foundational things, all right? I'm just here to give you guys fucking real results with the least amount of effort. And if you focus on those main things, you're gonna get some good results. But here's the kicker. Here's the thing you also gotta remember. It fucking takes time, okay? What I told you from the start. Think about this as 12 months. Be like, all right, I'll tell you what. Tyson just told me I've got to focus on these things. For the next 4 months, I'm gonna focus on nailing these. Once I have these nailed over the next 4 months, now I'm just gonna stick to these for the next 6 months. I'm just gonna trust what Tyson says. What else have you got to lose, to be honest? You're impatient. You want to get results faster, all right? But you've been fucking doing whatever for the last how many years, and you can't even give yourself 6 to 12 months to try something consistently day after day, okay? Because what I'm telling you guys is simple, but it's not easy. This is why it takes time. Because time is a factor, but implementation is a hard thing. That's why I'm telling you to start small, all right? Start small, work your way up, allow yourself to have the time, be patient, and it's nothing sexy, but I'm telling you, it's gonna work, all right? Why else would I fucking make this podcast? I got nothing to sell to you guys, basically. I got no supplements to sell. I got nothing special to sell, if you were to, also, let's talk about my coaching for a second, which I will be selling. I sell my coaching. Let's say you wanted to come on as a client. Are you going to learn anything special that I don't give away for free? No. You will not learn anything extra that I'd give away for free. Okay? You will not learn anything extra. Because all this shit I give away for free. What will you learn? You'll learn how to implement it easier, okay? You'll have your fucking hand held so I can show you how to do this, and so you stop beating yourself up. Because one of the biggest things I have to do as a coach is to stop people from jumping, Stop people from quitting. Stop people from saying this is too hard. Stop people from beating themselves up. Stop people from thinking they have to achieve everything in a week, and actually help people scale back, not scale up. I have to help people scale back to become more successful, all right? I give them in a very a better guideline manner, I guess you would say, versus how I just got all my information everywhere. So it's more systematized. They get this in a sequential fashion that's working like towards what they're doing, like as they gain the knowledge, they're getting more education along the way. So you get the support, you get the accountability, you get the systematization, so it's actually helping you move forwards. And also, you just get to ask me more questions, obviously, because I'm there every day, Monday to Friday. People have access to me. They get checked in with twice a week too on top of that, access every day, because then at least that way, whenever you do get stuck or anything, I can actually look and reflect on how you went. And all I'm teaching my clients is to help them become autonomous, because I want to be the last coach you ever have. All right. I want to be redundant in my job. So when you're like, hey, Tyson, people feel bad. Oh man, look, Tyson, you've helped me so much. I think I'm ready to go off by myself. Oh, I just they feel bad that they're ready to go off by themselves because they're confident enough. And I'm like, fucking oath, man. All I want from people is 4 months with me. You do the 4 months, you then have the choice. Do you want to stick around because you like the accountability, because you like to be pushed, just because, that type of thing? You want to keep learning, because if you do stay longer, obviously you're going to get more education. Or are you confident enough to go off and do something by yourself? Because after 4 months, you should be fucking confident enough to go and do this for the rest of your life. And the difference is, again, it's just helping you implement and be consistent and have all those tools at your disposal whenever you need them, versus trying to do all this yourself. That's the difference, okay? So if you are someone who is interested in the coaching, you can send me a message on Instagram at tysonthetrainerr with 2 R's. We'll organize time to have a chat on the phone, talk about goals going forwards, and help you actually get on the right track. If you listen to this and you're gonna implement it and you're gonna do it for free, fucking amazing, because that's why I create this content in the first place. It's for the people that can't do the coaching, won't do the coaching, can't afford the coaching, and just want free information. I'm not here to sell you bullshit. I'm here to get you guys results, because I can't help everyone, so I'd rather give information away for free so you actually put it into practice, okay? And finally, if you keep spinning your wheels, if you keep trying to do the same thing that's not working, if you keep just doing, again, the same shit again and again and again, sometimes you got to put your money where your mouth is too, all right? It's just that simple. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, it's free advice, I'll get to it later. You never do it. 3 years later, you're like, oh, I'm still in the fucking same place. Sometimes you gotta put your money where your mouth is. Cool? That is the podcast done and done. Done and done. Done and dusted. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was valuable. If you did enjoy the podcast, please share it on Instagram and tag me at Tyson the Trainer. And I'll be back next Monday in your ears, dropping a bit of a rant. But next Monday, we're going to talk a little bit more about the non-tracking side of things and just dive a little deeper into that. So I'll speak to you guys then.